Hey fellas, we're back. We're doing another show, and Christmas is right around the corner, so we're gonna hand out some doozies for you, and hopefully you enjoy. But no Christmas presents on this end because I gave enough Christmas presents out this year. So all you got is my voice. It's free every week, so that's all you get. But there's been some great games if you want a present stocks. I mean, we got some really, really close games, some really, key games. Maybe they're not divisional games, but they affect a lot of divisions this week. We had some key division games, though. The first game that sticks out to me is Green Bay and Minnesota. Maybe that's because that's my division and we're kind of biased to that division, but they put up some good games every week, so...
Yeah, no, those two teams know each other very well, and like you said, you got to keep your eye out on that. The game that I kept an eye out on was the Bears versus the Chiefs. I've been keeping my eye on the Chiefs as an AFC contender just because of the Matt Schaub deal, and he comes out with the victory of 24-21 against a solid Bears team. So the Chiefs have something going, I think.
He told me on the video on the chat board this week. He said, "You guys still think I'm in neutral?" Remember last week we said he was in neutral in the playoff contendership, and
no, you show it. You're gonna get recognition, and there's the win.
I love it though, man. That shows you that people are actually listening to it. And all it takes is one person to listen to this podcast, and it's worth it for us because this is fun for us.
Oh yeah.
So if anyone else listens to it, it just makes it great. So a guy to acknowledge that hey, we're watching you. We're not quite sold on you, but you're in the rearview mirror type of thing. On the back burner, and then he comes out and says, "Well, you better put me on the forefront because here I am." That's cool.
Yeah, no, he's definitely on the forefront.
Yeah.
Looking at the Schaub game, he went 17 for 25, 3 touchdowns, 360 yards passing, 2 interceptions against a solid Bears defense. I mean,
solid.
You put up 360 against the Bears defense, man. You're doing something right. His rookie Sanders had a great game. 6 receptions for 188 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
So he's got the ball rolling there. The Russian. Here we go, the Russian. Dexter McCluster, one attempt, 3 yards. My old Darren Sproles, 1 attempt, 13 yards. Forte, 11 attempts for 33 yards. So it seems like the Kansas City is definitely spreading the ball out and going the kind of the run and gun shoot offense.
Well, I'll say, I mean, I'm not a great runner. It doesn't look like he bases on the run all the time. But he isn't basing his offense around the run, but he does a lot like I do. He runs to set up the pass, and it looked like, especially in this game, you look at it, his runs may not, the yardage, the stats, all that might not have been special, but if you look at it, he got key runs when he needed them. 13-yard run by Darren Sproles, all 13 yards in one play.
Yep.
That's huge. That could be a first down, or, then he gets 13 yards was Forte's longest, so he only had 33 yards, but that 13 yards probably came at a very crucial time, So he's getting situational running when he needs it, and that's key. And
that's very key.
I like it because we hear Bears are 5-1, so he handed them his first loss, which is really impressive. But I like what he did. He said Jamal Charles, he's been playing amazing. I'm probably not going to stop him. We've heard, guys say, "Oh, you got to stop, Jamal Charles. You got to stop his running game." Maybe you don't. Maybe you let Charles get 139 yards and a touchdown, but you stop everything else.
Yep. Yeah. The passing game of Cutler. 3 interceptions.
Yep.
Is the key of the game probably. Schaub gave up 2, but the 3 with Cutler is probably probably more on the Chicago side of their downfall versus Kansas City, just because it's the extra 1 where these two teams match up very well, and pretty much it comes to whoever has the most turnovers would probably lose.
Well, what I like is from just looking at the stats, I can imagine he got him to third down a lot. So he wasn't worried about the yardage. I mean, he let Charles get some. He let Boss have a pretty good game statistically. But he played that bend but don't break defense, man. He let him march down the field or do his thing, but when he had to come up with a stop, and that speaks to how the Chiefs play in real life, though, man. That's how he plays. You kind of doubt him. You don't know what to expect from him. You know he's a great player, but he just not right. He's not always on his game. But when you start to doubt him, or when you think, he doesn't got a shot, that's when he comes up with his best games, and it proves it here.
Oh, in my case, I think he's got very good pieces on offense and defense.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have the flash. Dwayne Bowe, we never really talk about Dwayne Bowe. But he came up huge in this game also for 5 receptions, $119 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, when was the last time we talked about Dwayne Bowe in our league? You know what I mean? He just is a wide receiver that doesn't get no props, no nothing. But he's a big, tall wide receiver. He's good deep. He's good over the middle, and I mean. The team that Kansas City has is a team that can make a run, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think the reason Dwayne Bowe doesn't get talked about is just simply he's in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And the other thing is he drops some balls occasionally, but when he catches them, the dude is so strong. He's so fast. If you try to press him, he's got like 99 press, so good luck pressing him. I mean, he really does have all the tools. But it's not just that. I mean, he really put weapons around him. I mean, Jonathan Baldwin, he doesn't get any pub, but really that guy could start and probably be your number one receiver if he was on most any other team, in my opinion. But, so he's got all the pieces. Now let's just see if he can put it together. I don't think he's deep. He's not particularly deep on defense, so that's a thing. He's got to stay healthy, But that's like anyone, You lose some star players here and there, defense or special teams or wherever, and you're going to struggle. So if he stays healthy, I like this team, man.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
So. Did you want to talk about the Vikings in Green Bay? We'll give Manny his daily dose because everyone says we love Manny on the show, but
yeah, Manny came up with a 28-20 defeat against the AP and the Ryan Mallett show, of Minnesota. AP is the story of the game. 22 attempts, $192, 3 touchdowns, and a long of 69 yards. Ryan Mallett only threw the ball 13 times. He threw 3 interceptions and still came up with the win. This game is basically Adrian Peterson taking over the game and controlling the clock and basically saving Ryan Mallett's 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
A defeat, because you would look at that and you'd be like, oh, Mallett threw 3 picks. Minnesota would most likely lose against a good Manny team. But it's AP, just carrying the team on his back and doing it.
Yeah. Well, that and he did exactly what I did with Aaron Rodgers. He let him to it looks very similar to the stat line I had with him. Aaron Rodgers has 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. But the thing he did that I didn't do, he stopped Stark, so he really played good on defense. But I tell you what, man, the guy that you do not want to mess with, Tramon Williams, that guy is having...
You've been talking about him for all year this year. 2 interceptions in this game.
Yeah, and I think one of them was returned for a touchdown. I talked to the Vikings shortly after the game. He said, I don't know what to do against this guy. He says, when he gets... he picks up everything. If it's even thrown remotely in his area... He returned one for a touchdown, so imagine, if he didn't return that for a touchdown, imagine what that game would have looked like.
Yeah. Yeah. He returned a 67-yard. So, he could be up there for defensive player of the year,
Yeah, I think he is, man. When we give our awards, if he has, a few more games like that, lock it up, man. The guy the guy completely locked up Kelvin Johnson. How many guys ever do that?
Yeah, not many.
Like, it was, but a guy that we talk about guys we never really talk about. Adrian Peterson, for as good as he is, we don't really talk to him near enough.
Well, the thing is, it's just he's number one. I know it. You know it. I played with him.
So we expect it, yeah.
I mean, it's a given. I mean, you have Chris Johnson, but I just believe Peterson is just a little bit better than Chris Johnson in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because he can just run people over. If he needs to take it on the outside, he'll take it on the outside, but he can just bowl you over like a bull. And I don't think Chris Johnson has that ability. So that's the reason why AP is the best. You know what I mean? He is. So we don't.
Yeah.
There's not much more I can say.
No, it used to be in Madden in real life. The only weakness on AP is he fumbles. AP hasn't fumbled in a long time.
No.
So you can't even say that anymore.
Nope.
So barring injury, this guy's always going to be in trouble for you. And I'll tell you what, my division, it's almost impossible to predict.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, almost impossible, man.
Yeah. It's whoever gets hot. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Because you guys are all equal. And if just one team just starts to get hot and the other one doesn't, that's it.
Situational stops, man, they're key. And these divisional games are key. And everyone in my division knows that. I mean, I know if I want to stay alive for playoff votes. The Bears, he's 5-1 now, but he knows that Manny's only 4-2, so he's breathing right down his neck. I mean, there's always pressure in that division.
Oh yeah, it's gonna come down to the last week,
Yep. Well, it came down to the last week before. It came down to the last week in your division, and it looks like you and Carolina are gonna be, fighting it out. Maybe the Falcons still in there. So your division, it isn't getting any easier and may be getting harder. So. That's got to make you feel better.
No, the new Falcons owner, I got a big game against him tomorrow, and it's a big divisional rival, so
yeah,
we'll get a feel for each other. It's early, so
yeah, I'm really looking forward to how you handle. I mean, he puts up points, man. He's second in total yards. He's third, passing yards. But then, I think you win, but you just haven't hit that stride. Maybe this is the game that gets you fired up.
Yeah, it all comes down on the Drew Brees, nothing else more.
Yep. Well, you've been saying that for, the Saints are Drew Brees. If he plays well, they win. If he don't, we'll see. So, I will say he gives up some rushing yards, though. But back to the games being played. Another good one. We don't ever talk about the AFC, so it's time to give the AFC a little rub. 31-28, Jets Dolphins, and Reggie Bush. He's done it this season. People always doubt him, but the dude finds some way to get it in his hands, and he scores. And I gotta admit, just like this season, he's surprisingly doing it more and more on the ground than as a receiver, which is basically all you thought he was coming out of college. After a few games, people, he's really good as a punt returner, kick returner. Now he's starting to put it together, rushing the ball as well. 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he showed the ability obviously to burn somebody. 64 yards, with his longest run, and he's putting up some good numbers, and I think he's flying under the radar, and that's fine with him, I'm sure.
Yeah, this game was probably a huge boost for the Dolphins' morale and outlook. Bring them back to 3-3. Looking over the Dolphins, looking over the Dolphins, their number one thing is how's their new quarterback. You know what I mean? How's their number one pick?
Yep.
Matt Gallery. He's rated 80 overall. I believe he took him first, right?
I don't know. That guy kind of came out of the dark, so if you could help, but that's the thing about the Dolphins.
We don't have that information, but either way, he's definitely a rookie. So
yeah,
he went 20 for 36, 250, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. So, getting a victory is definitely get the Dolphins moving in the right direction.
But I don't think that speaks to how, we don't know everything, and it's always going to be that way. But I think it speaks to more, he doesn't know his identity. You know,
Oh yeah, no, he's new, he's fresh.
He's still a rookie. He's trying to figure out, what he can do. I think he's a new owner, and he's very good, and I think he's going in the right direction. But I think he's still really trying to figure out, what he has and what he can do.
Yeah, because he does have some solid players on, offense. He's got the Brandon Marshalls. He's got the Reggie Bush. So he's got a decent offensive line. Special teams, he's pretty solid on kickers and punters and, just the small stuff that makes up the team. And I think that's how you got to start with a Dolphins team.
Yeah.
You kind of, fill in those little gaps and holes that can really get you exploited against a good team. And, that's the way I would build a team that's down at the bottom and build it back up.
Well,
I would fill those little gaps where you would get exploited.
Yeah, well, he's building through defense because I know his number one pick stocks was that Justice, that free safety, who I spoke is he reminds me a lot of a young Troy Polamalu, and he does it again in this game, man. I don't know, that guy, he just amazes me every time I see his stat line. I think he had 2 interceptions this game.
Yep.
So.
Well, the guy on the defensive side we have to talk about a little bit that doesn't get a lot of press. Cameron Wake, 6 tackles, 4 sacks. I mean, that's remarkable. Yeah. I mean, this guy's a beast. He's rated 92 overall. He tells me that when he puts him on the line, he's a 99. I mean, how do you stop this guy? He's a 99 fitness move. So I mean, he gets on that outside of that edge. He's up there with the Julius Peppers and the Jared Allen's ability.
Yeah, well, he definitely is. I was wrong about the first round pick. I was looking at tackles. He didn't have 2 interceptions. He had 2 tackles this game. But listen to it. Listen to this rookie's stat line. Okay, he took him number 1 pretty highly. I think he picked like 5 or 6 or something like that. So taking a free safety that high. You're talking Aaron Berry quality, You're talking Troy Polamalu, Aaron, Weddle, Eric Weddle, that kind of quality when you take a guy that highly. But he's 20 tackles, 5 interceptions, 1 forced fumble. From a free safety?
Rookie of the year right there. Lock it up.
You think so?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Look at that. 5 interceptions already.
Defensive rookie of the year?
Put it on the board.
I tell you, this guy's a young Troy Polamalu. If you throw it in his area, good luck. I mean, I don't remember his stat line, but he had like 70 spectacular catch. And some stat lines you would think he's a wide receiver just looking at his catching ability, and you realize, oh, he's that fast, and he's a free safety. Well, the dude can play, and you can see why he picked him 6 overall. Because I'm sure some people were like, you could pick a quarterback in this position. Because I'm sure that's what a lot of people expected him to do, and I think it was what we expected him to do if you look at the mock drafts. But, when you can get 5 interceptions and assume maybe some of those are returned for touchdowns, maybe you don't need that quarterback. Maybe building through the defense is the right way.
Yeah.
So, any other games stick out to you?
Yeah, we have to talk about the Super Bowl champs, the Oakland Raiders defeat. 35-31 against the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what's going on with the Raiders, but I was on the chat forum just a little while ago, and it seems like he's shopping some big guys. He was looking to shop, Seymour, a couple defensive guys. I don't know if he's hit the panic button or what, but whatever he's doing this year is not cutting it. Maybe I'm, like you said, we're kind of biased to the AFC, and I can't really tell. I'm looking over the game.
Mm-hmm.
He has Terrell Pryor at quarterback. A really great day. 15 for 18, 2 touchdowns for 337 yards. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah, but
you got McFadden kind of slowed down, only 16 rushing attempts for 49 yards.
Yeah.
Pryor had 5 attempts for 38 yards rushing.
So he basically
and
a touchdown. So he basically had 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. But what was he doing so well last season? He was running the ball. He was controlling that clock. He only had 49 rushing yards for the game. Look up for me Darren McFadden stats and compare him to last year. I mean, I don't even got to look at the stats to realize he's not having as good a year as he had last year.
That's definitely a given because his overall winning percentage would be a lot higher than a 1-5 record right now.
Because we talked about it, kudos to the Broncos. We're not taking anything away because it was still a close game, 31 to 35. But my thing, when you get an owner to do something he doesn't like to do, you always have a chance. That's what I'm realizing in this game. I had a bunch of injuries early in this season. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was in a flux. I was losing, 28 to nothing, 7 to 27, and then I got to work, man. I put my hard hat on. I said something's got to change. I worked really hard that game at taking away Aaron Rodgers, and I came this close to doing it. So it's about taking away a player, and if you can take that away, a lot of teams I'm noticing don't have another option, and maybe the Raiders figure it out like I figured out the defense, and I'm sure he will. He'll probably go there, he'll figure some things out, maybe make a trade like you were saying, maybe shopping some guys is a good thing. I don't know, but when you can take something away, you always have a chance, and the Broncos tuck away Darren McFadden.
Oh yeah, and that's definitely a perfect example. And if people are finding that out and going that route, this league is gonna, really change.
It's even more fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't even care if I go 0-16. I'll put it on the map, man. If I have good games like 35 to 31, I don't care what kind of season I have. I mean, obviously I'm trying to make the playoffs, but parity and competition-wise, you don't know what's going to happen from week to week, and that's the best league you could be in my opinion, hands down, no question about it. I don't want to be like in one of those leagues where I run over everything. I don't got to think. I don't got to, because in the real NFL, everyone wants the real NFL. Well, here it is. In the real NFL, you get slammed with tape. You get, evaluations. You get coaches running everywhere. Personnel going here, going there. You really have to, take each game, as its own little game and break it down. And that's what you're finding. The teams that really put in the effort and, try to eliminate one thing, it's working.
Yeah, and like you said, if that other team doesn't have another fallback, what's going to happen?
Well, I mean, obviously he had a fallback, but the thing was I think the Broncos stunned the Raiders. I don't think he expected the pass, even though he obviously can. I mean, look at Lewis Murphy had 213 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not bad. But when you go in there thinking you're going to run and automatically having to change it up, that affects the psyche of a team, man. And, that hurries you up because, like I said, he's always been a guy who wants to run with McFadden and control the clock. Even though he was still putting up, stats and these type of things. The one thing you can't do when you throw the ball a lot is control the clock. Your defense doesn't get enough, rest. I mean, you got to change it up, and changing it up can change the game, and it did here. But more than any game, man, isn't it amazing? Just simply amazing how the Raiders. 1-5. That's no slight against the Raiders. I mean, come on, but look at the parity in this league. It's remarkable, man.
Oh, no, that's what we've been saying all these, podcasts and all these, about the draft and this and that and free agency, that it can be done.
Yeah.
And this is an example. The Kansas City Chiefs have put the work in and made the moves to set himself up for a Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
And he's beating the good teams right now. So I know it's still early and stuff, but this is what we've been talking about all along.
Yeah. I mean, the Broncos were an open team for a while there last year, and I couldn't figure it out. Obviously we got a good owner to fill it, but I couldn't figure it out. This team, 1 or 2 things and they're set. and he takes them over, and he proves it. So even the open teams, I think it speaks to having real rosters. Because me and Stocks were on a league with fantasy rosters, and they're great. To build your team how you want. But the problem is you can't fill those teams like you can fill these teams. And I think more than anything, that speaks to why we have so much parity and so much. I mean, we're playing real guys every week, and we're really battling it out. Is because if you lose an owner, you can pretty much fill it pretty easily, and a guy knows what he's getting. And when you pick up the Broncos, you're getting Tim Tebow, and I mean, yeah, there's been some trades, but most of the teams are still kind of around their same,
Yeah, but besides Manny's defense.
And the Houston Texans offense, but
yeah.
I mean, but those are a couple rare things. I think having real rosters proves itself this year that it helps. But we got about 5-6 minutes. What has surprised you? Not so much about the Raiders going one, because he's had some close games, but do you think he makes the playoffs? Because remember, he didn't have a good record when he made the playoffs last year. It was the run he made in the playoffs that mattered. A lot like the Packers in real life, winning it last year in real life. They weren't talked about a lot. They were seen as a good team, but for some reason, I mean, I didn't see once they got in the playoffs, I was like, whoa, the Raiders are for real, I was like, oh, maybe the Steelers will beat them, and the Steelers didn't beat them, and then, well, maybe this happens, and sooner than not, he's in the Super Bowl, and we're having to take notice. Now that he's 1-4, what does that mean?
I don't know if it's time to hit the panic button yet.
Yeah.
Looking at his division, but he's got some tough games. He's got the Vikings, he's got the Lions, the Steelers, the Broncos, the Chargers, the Packers.
Well, thanks for calling my game tough. I'm not sure if it is. I mean,
you guys don't see each other, so
yeah.
That it could be a tough game because you guys don't know each other.
Yeah, well, that's key because even though it's the same, I didn't play the Raiders last year. We had the same. I don't have a clue. What the Raiders is. That's important, isn't it?
That's why I consider it a tough game because you guys don't know each other. I think either or. When you're not playing a divisional rival or even out of conference, it's going to be a tough game because you guys have no clue.
Yeah,
it's a tough game for both of you.
Every game is tough, man. Divisional games are tough. These games, all games are tough. It's great.
No, like I said, I just believe these next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Will tell the Raiders, season.
I don't think he's done, but I agree with you. If he doesn't start winning soon, I mean, I know he was 9-7 when he got in, something like that.
But all you got to do is get in.
The thing was, but you still got to get in. I mean, people love to say, "Oh, he was 9-7." He still got to. He's 1-4 right now. He's a long ways away from 9-7, in my opinion, right now. We're talking about 8 more wins, and we're talking about the Chiefs who have improved. We're talking about the Broncos who have improved. So where are you getting those 9 wins? You better start winning out. We're talking about winning out, man. It's not quite there, but we're getting close to where he can lose 3 games the rest of the season if he wants to finish 9-7, same record as last year, and maybe squeeze in. That means 3 games. That's it. So you're saying the next 3 weeks are important? Well, yeah, because if he loses those 3 weeks, not looking so good. Now, if he wins them, he's almost looking at he'll be tied, won't he? Yeah, 4-4. So if he wins the next 3 weeks, he's 4-4 back in the race.
He's back at the top. Chance.
If he loses,
then you hit the panic button.
Yeah. Well,
on the other thing was we still have the Giants back undefeated, 5-0 again.
Yep.
We have